Have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly attract wealth while others struggle despite working twice as hard? What if everything you've been taught about money was only half the truth, or perhaps just the visible surface of a much deeper reality? Money flows like water through our lives, yet most of us have been conditioned to see it as nothing more than paper in our wallets or numbers on a screen. We chase it, worry about it, dream of having more of it. But how many of us have stopped to consider what money truly is at its core? Has this ever happened to you? You set financial goals, create budgets, work overtime, yet somehow prosperity remains just beyond your reach, as if some invisible force were working against your conscious desires. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world, and if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. What you're about to discover might surprise you, because the greatest minds throughout history have understood a profound truth. Money is not merely a physical object or a human invention. It's a living energy, a current of intelligence that responds directly to the state of your consciousness. Think about it. Paper and metal have no inherent value. The power we assign to money comes from something far more mysterious, something that exists in the realm of energy and thought before it ever takes physical form. When we begin to see money as spirit manifested in matter, everything transforms. The way we relate to abundance, the way we receive it, the way we circulate it, all shift from struggle to flow. This isn't abstract philosophy. It's practical spirituality that the world's most prosperous individuals have applied, often without fully articulating the principles behind their success. Stay with me until the end of this journey, because I'll be revealing exactly how this understanding can revolutionize your financial reality. The most remarkable aspect of this wisdom is that it doesn't require you to change your external circumstances first. The transformation begins within, in the subtle realm of your beliefs, your energy, and your awareness. Money, at its essence, is simply energy given form, and like all energy, it obeys certain universal laws. It remains loyal to your deepest beliefs about it, whether those beliefs serve you or limit you. If you secretly believe that wealth is corrupting, that you don't deserve abundance, or that spirituality and prosperity cannot coexist, then those hidden convictions will override even your most sincere efforts to attract more. The ancient spiritual teachings and modern quantum physics are converging on this same understanding. Consciousness precedes matter. Your awareness shapes reality before it ever appears in physical form. What if the key to commanding the flow of money isn't in chasing it harder, but in transforming how you perceive it at the most fundamental level? If these spiritual truths about money and abundance resonated with you, join our growing community by hitting that subscribe button now. Together, we're remembering our divine authority over prosperity. This hidden truth reveals the fundamental paradox that keeps so many spiritual seekers stuck in financial limitation. You can recite positive affirmations until your voice gives out. You can visualize prosperity, create elaborate vision boards, and follow every manifestation technique to the letter. But if deep in your subconscious, where the real decisions about your reality are made, you hold the belief that money is somehow impure, corrupting, or separate from your spiritual journey, you'll unconsciously sabotage every opportunity the universe attempts to deliver. Think of your mind as having two distinct operating systems. Your conscious mind might be completely on board with wealth and abundance. It sets goals, makes plans, and embraces prosperity teachings. Meanwhile, your subconscious mind, shaped by childhood impressions, religious teachings, cultural programming, and countless subtle messages, may be running an entirely different program in the background. And in this inner conflict, the subconscious always wins. This explains the painful cycle so many find themselves trapped within. The harder they chase money, the more it seems to evade them. The more they pray for financial breakthrough, the more frustrated they become when those prayers appear to go unanswered. Not because the universe isn't responding, but because they've created an energetic contradiction that blocks their own receiving. Now I want to go even deeper into this transformation process. When your subconscious mind associates wealth with concepts like greed, selfishness, or corruption rather than gratitude, service, and contribution, you've essentially built an invisible wall between yourself and the very abundance you claim to desire. This creates a spiritual dissonance, a misalignment between your stated intentions and your energetic broadcast. Consider how many well-meaning spiritual teachings have inadvertently reinforced this split. Phrases like, "Money is the root of all evil," a misquote, by the way, or "It's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter heaven," have left deep impressions on our collective consciousness. These aren't just ideas. They become energy patterns that actively repel prosperity. The journey to financial freedom begins with bringing these hidden beliefs into the light. It requires a gentle but unflinching examination of what money truly means to you beyond the rational surface. Do you secretly believe that wealth would change you for the worse? Do you associate affluence with exploitation? Do you feel unworthy of abundance while others suffer? These shadow beliefs create energetic barriers that no amount of positive thinking alone can overcome. True alignment happens when your entire being, conscious and subconscious, moves in harmony toward the same destination. When gratitude replaces judgment, when contribution replaces fear of corruption, when you see money as a sacred tool for expressing your highest gifts rather than a necessary evil, something remarkable happens. The resistance dissolves. The flow begins. The universe responds not to your words or even your conscious desires, but to your energetic signature, the sum total of your beliefs, feelings, and expectations about wealth. If this message resonates with you, write in the comments, "I'm releasing my resistance to abundance." This simple declaration can be the first step in your inner reconciliation with wealth. This revelation becomes even more profound when we examine the spiritual wisdom hidden in plain sight within ancient teachings. Consider one of the most misunderstood passages from the Gospels, a moment when Jesus was approached with what seemed to be a political trap. The question was deceptively simple: should we pay taxes to Caesar or not? Behind this query lay a clever attempt to force Jesus into either opposing Roman authority or appearing disloyal to Jewish law. But his response transcended the superficial politics of the moment and revealed a cosmic principle that applies directly to our understanding of money. "Show me the coin," he said. When they brought it, he asked, "Whose image and inscription is on it?" They answered, "Caesar's." And then came the revelation disguised as a simple statement: "Then give to Caesar what is Caesar's, and to God what is God's." Most interpretations stop at the surface, seeing only a clever evasion or a statement about civic duty. But the insight runs far deeper. This was a profound teaching about the nature of form versus the nature of consciousness, about the relationship between the visible and invisible realms. Look closely at the metaphysical blueprint hidden in these words. The coin bears Caesar's image. It belongs to the world of form, of temporary physical reality. But humans bear God's image. We belong to the realm of creation, of consciousness, of eternal principles. This distinction changes everything about how we understand money and our relationship to it. What Jesus illuminated in this brief exchange was a revolutionary insight. Form does not command creation. Creation commands form. The material world, including money, doesn't rule consciousness. Consciousness rules the material world. You don't serve money, money serves you. This isn't just philosophy, it's practical spirituality that transforms your entire financial reality. When you truly comprehend that you belong to the realm of creation while money belongs to the realm of form, you stop placing yourself beneath it. You recognize that financial resources are merely one expression of the infinite, creative power that flows through you. They are not your master. They are your servants, responding to the authority of your consciousness. This realization initiates a profound revolution in your relationship with abundance. No longer are you the supplicant, begging the universe for scraps of prosperity. Instead, you stand in your divine authority as a creator being, directing the flow of energy that eventually manifests as material provision. The ancient wisdom wasn't just teaching us about taxes, it was revealing the cosmic hierarchy that places consciousness above form. The journey toward financial liberation begins with this fundamental shift in identity. When you recognize that you bear the divine image of creation itself, you naturally stop subordinating yourself to numbers in a bank account. You reclaim your rightful position as the commander of energy, not its servant. If this perspective is awakening something within you, type, "I bear the image of creation," in the comments below. Let's acknowledge together this profound truth about our spiritual identity and its relationship to material abundance. This shift in perspective completely transforms how we approach the manifestation of prosperity in our daily lives. When you examine the demonstrations of abundance throughout spiritual teachings, you find a striking pattern, one that challenges everything we've been conditioned to believe about attracting wealth. Notice that in every recorded instance, Jesus never once chased after provision. He never worried, schemed, or manipulated circumstances to meet his needs. Instead, he operated from an unshakable place of divine authority, commanding resources through consciousness rather than pursuing them through effort. This revelation unlocks the secret pathway to prosperity that most spiritual seekers miss entirely. The conventional approach teaches us to chase money, work harder, network more, implement sophisticated strategies, and essentially orient our lives around the pursuit of wealth. But this approach fundamentally inverts the cosmic order. When you pursue money, you unconsciously position yourself beneath it, reinforcing the illusion that you lack authority over material resources. This subtle reversal creates the very limitation you're trying to overcome. Consider the profound demonstration that occurred when thousands of hungry people gathered with seemingly insufficient food. The mundane mind sees only scarcity, a few loaves and fishes, against overwhelming need. This perfectly mirrors the sensation many feel when looking at their financial situation. Not enough resources for too many demands. The conventional response would be panic, anxiety, or frantic activity. But the response that changes everything is counterintuitive to our conditioned mindset. Rather than focusing on the gap between what was available and what was needed, Jesus simply gave thanks. This wasn't mere politeness, it was a demonstration of a universal law. Gratitude, offered in the face of apparent lack, became the catalyst for multiplication. This wasn't a suspension of natural law, but rather the operation of a higher law, the law that consciousness commands form. Behind the scenes of this miracle lies a blueprint for transformation that applies directly to your financial life. When you encounter limitation, the instinctive reaction is to focus on the problem, to amplify the perception of scarcity through worry and stress. But this, unconsciously, commands more of the same experience. The revolutionary approach is to pivot immediately to gratitude, not as a denial of current reality, but as a declaration of your authority to transform it. This mindset revelation doesn't just change your emotional state. It literally reorganizes the energy field around you, allowing resources to flow where appreciation has already been offered. Gratitude becomes not just a sentiment, but a creative force that bridges the gap between what appears to be and what can be. The demonstration of abundance wasn't a special dispensation, but rather an illustration of an always available principle. Consciousness, aligned with gratitude, commands matter to reconfigure itself. If this principle speaks to your heart, write in the comments, "Gratitude commands abundance." Let's acknowledge together this fundamental law that has been hiding in plain sight all along. This principle of gratitude as a creative force becomes even more evident when we examine these spiritual demonstrations closely. In the miracle of multiplication, we witness more than just an inspiring story. We see the mechanics of manifestation operating with mathematical precision. Notice that gratitude wasn't offered after the abundance appeared. It preceded the manifestation. This sequence reveals a crucial insight about the relationship between consciousness and form. Thanksgiving isn't just a response to blessing. It's the catalyst that activates it. The transformative journey deepens when we consider another powerful demonstration that few fully comprehend. When the time came to pay the temple tax, Peter worried about their financial situation. Most of us can relate to that moment of anxiety when an unexpected expense arrives and we wonder how we'll cover it. But rather than stressing or strategizing, Jesus responded with calm authority. Go to the sea, cast in a hook, and take the fish that comes up first. And when you have opened its mouth, you will find a piece of money. Subscribe now to continue this journey of transformation where we explore the hidden spiritual laws of abundance. Every new video becomes another key to unlocking your prosperity consciousness. What's happening beneath the surface of this encounter? This wasn't a random coincidence or magical thinking. It was a revelation of how the universe actually functions when engaged by awakened consciousness. The instruction to Peter demonstrates perhaps the most revolutionary principle of spiritual prosperity. The entire field of creation reorganizes itself to mirror the consciousness of one who knows their divine authority. This wasn't luck or chance, it was cosmic law in action. Consider the implications of this revelation for your own life. The fish with the coin shows that the universe isn't fixed or static. It's a responsive field that continually rearranges itself according to the consciousness that engages it. When you truly understand your relationship to the creative power of the universe, even nature itself aligns to provide exactly what you need, exactly when you need it. The breakthrough insight here transcends conventional manifestation teachings. It's not about visualizing money or repeating affirmations while secretly doubting. It's about a profound identity shift where you recognize that the entire universe is designed to respond to your consciousness. Just as the fish appeared with exactly the right coin at exactly the right moment, your needs are met with divine precision when you operate from this higher awareness. This spiritual principle works not through force, but through alignment. Notice that Jesus didn't struggle or strain to make this provision appear. He didn't deplete his energy trying to control outcomes. Instead, he spoke from a place of calm knowing, demonstrating that true abundance flows not from effort, but from authority. The universe doesn't respond to your striving. It responds to your state of being, to the consciousness that knows provision is already complete before any evidence appears. If this perspective is awakening something within you, share in the comments. I command from consciousness, not circumstance. Let's acknowledge together this profound shift from struggling within conditions to speaking from the power that creates conditions. This revelation leads us to perhaps the most transformative insight of all. The true currency of the universe isn't paper or digital numbers, but belief itself. When we peer behind the veil of physical reality, we discover that money doesn't move according to economic theories alone. It flows toward those who already possess it in consciousness, appearing with almost magnetic certainty wherever gratitude and spiritual dominion meet. This explains why two people can implement identical financial strategies with dramatically different results. The outer actions may look the same, but the inner reality, the consciousness from which those actions emerge, creates entirely different energetic signatures. Money doesn't simply respond to what you do. It responds to who you are being while you do it. This subtle distinction makes all the difference between struggle and flow, between chasing prosperity and commanding it. Florence Scovel Shinn captured this principle perfectly when she taught that feeling is the secret. This wasn't just poetic language, but a precise description of how manifestation actually works. When you genuinely feel wealthy in spirit, not as pretense or affirmation, but as authentic inner experience, the outer world has no choice but to rearrange itself to reflect that inner assumption. The universe doesn't respond to your words or even your actions as much as it responds to your feeling state, the emotional frequency you broadcast. Most spiritual seekers reverse this sequence. They believe they must first see evidence of prosperity before they can feel abundant. But this mindset keeps manifestation perpetually out of reach. The breakthrough occurs when you realize that feeling must precede manifestation, not follow it. The sensation of already possessing what you desire becomes the magnetic force that draws it into physical expression. This revelation transforms your entire approach to creating wealth. Rather than endlessly pursuing external circumstances that you hope will eventually make you feel abundant, you cultivate the feeling of abundance first, knowing that this inner state is what reshapes your outer reality. You no longer need to wait for your bank account to change before you can experience prosperity consciousness. Instead, you allow prosperity consciousness to change your bank account. The journey toward mastering this principle involves a profound inner awakening. It requires moving beyond intellectual understanding to embodied knowing, where abundance isn't just an idea you believe, but a state you inhabit. When you wake each morning and breathe into the feeling of infinite supply, when you move through your day sensing the current of divine provision flowing through and around you, when gratitude becomes your natural response to life rather than a technique you practice, that's when the outer world begins to mirror this inner reality with astonishing precision. This isn't wishful thinking or positive psychology. It's the science of consciousness, the recognition that feeling states generate electromagnetic frequencies that interact with the quantum field, organizing particles of possibility into patterns that match your inner experience. Your emotions aren't just reactions to your environment. They're creative forces that shape your environment. If you recognize this truth resonating within you, share in the comments. My feeling creates my reality. Let's acknowledge together this fundamental principle that bridges inner consciousness with outer manifestation. This understanding perfectly aligns with Dr. Joe Dispenza's revolutionary research into the neuroscience of manifestation. His work reveals a paradigm-shifting insight. You don't wait for the event to feel the emotion. You feel the emotion so the event can occur. This isn't mystical thinking. It's the literal science of faith, where your brain and body don't distinguish between an experience that's happening externally and one that's being vividly imagined internally with genuine emotional engagement. When you practice feeling abundant before any physical evidence appears, you're not engaging in fantasy or denial. You're actually participating in the quantum mechanics of creation. Your emotional state generates measurable electromagnetic frequencies that interact with the field of possibilities around you. This is why two people can face identical financial circumstances, yet experience entirely different outcomes. One remains trapped in the emotional frequency of lack, which perpetuates more lack. The other steps into the emotional reality of abundance, which begins reorganizing physical circumstances to match that inner state. The awakening that changes everything is the realization that money itself is not something you need to beg for, pursue, or even attract. Money already exists as a frequency awaiting your direction. It's not separate from you, existing in some distant realm that you must somehow reach. It's a living current that responds instantly to the quality of your consciousness, to how you think, feel, and perceive. This transformation in understanding means you no longer pray for money as if it were something outside yourself that needs to be convinced to come to you. Instead, you awaken to your role as the director of this energy. You recognize that abundance isn't something you get. It's something you tune to, like adjusting a radio dial to receive a broadcast that's already being transmitted. Behind the scenes of all manifestation lies this hidden truth. Consciousness is causal. Your awareness doesn't just observe reality, it creates reality. When you declare with absolute certainty, I am abundant, or I live in the overflow of divine supply, you're not making affirmations in the conventional sense. You're speaking the language of creation itself. You're issuing commands to the quantum field that must be obeyed because the field responds to consciousness, not circumstance. The potential for financial freedom exists right now as a vibrational reality. It doesn't need to be manufactured or produced. It needs to be received through the quality of your focus and feeling. This is why spiritual masters throughout history have emphasized that the kingdom is within you. They weren't speaking metaphorically. They were revealing the actual mechanics of manifestation, that what you seek is seeking you, already complete in potential form, awaiting only your recognition to emerge into expression. When you truly grasp that money is simply energy awaiting the direction of your consciousness, the desperate chase for prosperity dissolves into peaceful certainty. You no longer need to manipulate circumstances or exhaust yourself with endless action. Instead, you become the conscious broadcaster of the frequency that naturally attracts its material equivalent. If this perspective is illuminating something within you, write in the comments, "I direct the frequency of abundance." Let's acknowledge together this profound shift from chasing money to commanding energy. This revelation opens the door to understanding the true power of what we speak. When you declare, "I am abundant," or "I am a money magnet," the world might call these statements affirmations or even delusions if your external circumstances don't yet match these words. But from the perspective of spirit, these declarations aren't lies or wishful thinking. They're the language of creation itself. What human perception labels as affirmation, the realm of spirit recognizes as the very command that shapes reality. The ASD transformation occurs when you grasp that your declarations aren't descriptions of what already exists in form. They're instructions to the formless field of potential about what to manifest next. This subtle shift in understanding changes everything about how you use language. Appreciation into a creative force that makes the invisible visible in our experience. This revelation becomes even more profound when we understand that every single word of gratitude carries its own unique frequency. This isn't metaphorical language, it's the literal physics of creation. When you express genuine thanksgiving, you're broadcasting an electromagnetic pattern that extends far beyond your physical body, interacting with the quantum field of all possibilities. This gratitude frequency naturally attracts everything that vibrates in harmony with it. People, ideas, opportunities, resources, and yes, money itself. Think of gratitude as the most powerful magnet in the universe. Just as metal is naturally drawn toward a magnetic field without resistance or effort, abundance in all its forms moves toward the consciousness that broadcasts genuine thanksgiving. This isn't manipulation or manifestation technique. It's simply the operation of universal law. Like frequencies naturally resonate with and attract each other. The gratitude vibration magnetically pulls to it everything that matches its energetic signature. The manifestation process begins subtly at first. Perhaps you notice small synchronicities, an unexpected refund, a surprise discount, a forgotten credit returned to you. These aren't coincidences. They're the first evidence of your gratitude frequency beginning to reorganize the field around you. As you maintain this vibration consistently, the manifestations grow in magnitude. A new client, a creative inspiration that generates income, an opportunity that seems to appear from nowhere. Each of these represents the universe responding to your broadcast with mathematical precision. Now, I want to go even deeper into this process by revealing perhaps the most common mistake that interrupts the manifestation cycle. The moment you express gratitude and then immediately start checking to see if it worked, looking for evidence, monitoring results, analyzing progress, you've unknowingly shifted from the frequency of certainty to the frequency of doubt. This energetic shift actually breaks the manifestation circuit you were creating. This explains why so many sincere practitioners experience inconsistent results. They express genuine thanksgiving, but then almost immediately begin looking for proof, which subtly broadcasts the vibration of, "I'm not sure this is real." That doubt frequency cancels the gratitude frequency, creating energetic static that prevents clear manifestation. It's like planting a seed and then immediately digging it up to see if it's growing. The very act of checking interferes with the process you're trying to nurture. The mastery journey involves developing the spiritual discipline to maintain your focus on gratitude itself rather than on the results you hope to see. This doesn't mean ignoring practical reality or abdicating responsibility. It means recognizing that your attention is itself a creative force, and whatever you consistently focus on expands in your experience. When you place your mental and emotional energy on the feeling of thanksgiving rather than on checking for evidence, you maintain the precise vibrational state that allows manifestation to unfold naturally and effortlessly. This is perhaps the most counterintuitive aspect of spiritual manifestation. The less you monitor results, the faster they tend to appear. When you express gratitude and then simply rest in the certainty that the universe is already responding, without anxiously looking for proof, you create a clear channel for abundance to flow without resistance. Your thanksgiving remains pure rather than contaminated with doubt, allowing the full power of gratitude to operate unimpeded. If this principle is illuminating something within you, write in the comments, "I focus on gratitude, not results." Let's acknowledge together this subtle but critical distinction that maintains the integrity of the manifestation circuit. Now we arrive at the third and most overlooked principle in the manifestation process, the sacred step that transforms intention into reality. Step 3. Command and rest. This final stage reveals perhaps the most counterintuitive aspect of spiritual manifestation. Creation doesn't respond to your striving or effort, it responds to your certainty. This explains why those who work hardest to manifest prosperity often experience the least results, while those who simply command with quiet authority see their words fulfilled with remarkable precision. Notice that in every demonstration of abundance, Jesus never begged or pleaded for outcomes. He never engaged in desperate prayer or anxious repetition. He simply spoke once with clear authority and then rested completely in the knowing that his word contained the power of its own fulfillment. When he said, "Lazarus, come forth," he didn't repeat it nervously or keep checking to see if it was working. He knew that his command carried its own creative force that would reorganize reality according to his word. The revelation here transforms everything about how you engage with manifestation. Most spiritual seekers make the critical mistake of declaring their intention and then immediately shifting into action mode, trying to figure out how it will happen, working to make it occur, forcing the outcome through effort and will. But this approach actually works against the manifestation process. The moment you try to make it happen through your own effort, you've unconsciously stepped out of the realm of creation and back into the realm of fear. This subtle shift in consciousness, from resting in certainty to striving from anxiety, changes your entire energetic broadcast. Instead of emanating the frequency of completion that attracts manifestation, you begin broadcasting the frequency of lack that repels it. Your very attempt to force the outcome becomes the resistance that prevents it. This explains the paradoxical pattern many experience where the harder they chase prosperity, the more it seems to elude them. The journey toward mastery involves developing a profound understanding of what spiritual rest actually means. This isn't passive inactivity or irresponsible waiting. It's the highest expression of spiritual confidence, the deep knowing that what you've declared is already unfolding perfectly, even if your physical senses can't yet detect the movement. It's the settled certainty that your word has been received by the universe and is already in process of manifestation, requiring no further effort or anxiety from you. Think of rest as the ultimate demonstration of faith. When you can speak your word clearly and then completely relax into the knowing that it's already done, you're exhibiting the precise state of consciousness that allows manifestation to occur with maximum efficiency. Your rest becomes the signal to the universe that you trust the process completely, that you recognize the power of your word and require no further evidence or reassurance. This reveals the hidden rhythm of manifestation. Command, then rest, speak, then trust, declare, then release. This pattern mirrors the very process of creation itself, where the divine word is spoken once and then allowed to unfold according to its own perfect timing and pattern. Your ability to rest after commanding becomes the ultimate test of your spiritual maturity, and the direct measure of how quickly your manifestations will appear. If this principle is illuminating a new pathway for you, share in the comments. I command, and then I rest. Let's acknowledge together this profound spiritual technology that transforms spoken intention into physical reality. This principle of spiritual rest becomes even clearer when we consider again the natural metaphor of planting a seed. Once you've placed that seed in fertile soil, you enter a phase of the process that requires something entirely different from the initial planting. You don't dig up the seed daily to check its progress or try to force it to grow faster. Such interference would actually prevent the very growth you're attempting to nurture. Instead, you simply water it consistently, ensure it receives proper light, and then trust the invisible process happening beneath the surface. In the same way, once you've planted the seed of prosperity in consciousness through clear declaration, you enter the sacred phase of trust. You don't need to dig up your manifestation daily to check if it's working. You don't need to force the process through anxious effort or manipulation. You simply water it with the peace of knowing and nurture it with the stillness of trust. This isn't passive waiting, it's active faith, the conscious participation in a process that unfolds according to divine timing rather than human scheduling. The profound transformation in this journey comes when you recognize that your rest itself is a creative force. Far from being merely the absence of action, spiritual stillness becomes the fertile field in which manifestation takes root and flourishes. Just as a seed needs the quiet darkness of soil to germinate, your prosperity command needs the stillness of your trust to unfold in perfect sequence. Your rest isn't what you do while waiting for results. It's an essential part of the manifestation process itself. Now, I want to go even deeper into this revelation by understanding that when you enter true spiritual rest, heaven reads your stillness as faith. This isn't poetic language. It's the precise description of how the universe interprets your consciousness. When you can declare your intention and then completely relax into the knowing that it's already accomplished in spirit, that stillness becomes a powerful signal to the field of infinite potential. It's the sign that says, the creative work is complete. Now let manifestation begin. Most spiritual seekers reverse this sequence. They speak their command, but then immediately shift into anxious activity, planning, scheming, worrying, and manipulating circumstances to force the outcome. This frenetic energy actually broadcasts doubt to the universe. I don't really trust that my word was enough, so I need to make this happen myself. That broadcast of uncertainty delays the very manifestation you're attempting to create. The journey toward mastery involves developing the spiritual discipline to rest completely in your knowing after you've issued your command. This doesn't mean you never take inspired action. It means that any action emerges not from anxiety, but from quiet guidance, from the peaceful certainty that what you've declared is already unfolding perfectly. Your rest becomes not just the pause between activities, but the powerful demonstration of your absolute trust in the process of manifestation. This sacred stillness transforms your relationship with time itself. Instead of anxiously watching the clock and calendar, wondering when your manifestation will appear, you rest in the timeless dimension of spirit, where your desire is already complete. This transcendence of time pressure creates the optimal vibrational conditions for accelerated manifestation, because the universe responds not to your timeline, but to your trust. If this principle is awakening something within you, write in the comments, "My stillness is my power." Let's acknowledge together this profound truth that transforms rest from passive waiting into the active catalyst for manifestation. This revelation takes us to perhaps the most scientifically validated aspect of spiritual manifestation, the power of coherence. Dr. Joe Dispenza's groundbreaking research reveals that when your mind, heart, and body achieve alignment around the same intention, something remarkable happens at the electromagnetic level. The energy field surrounding you dramatically strengthens, creating a coherent broadcast that literally organizes matter to match your inner state. This isn't mystical thinking, it's measurable physics. Think about what happens in most manifestation attempts. Your mind affirms abundance while your heart feels anxiety about bills. Your thoughts declare prosperity while your body remains tense with the stress of lack. This internal contradiction creates energetic static, a fragmented broadcast that the universe cannot clearly respond to. It's like trying to tune a radio to multiple stations simultaneously and wondering why you only hear noise. The journey toward mastery involves creating perfect harmony between these three dimensions of your being. When your thoughts, emotions, and physical state all align around the same prosperity consciousness, you generate a unified field so powerful that physical reality has no choice but to reorganize itself to match your inner order. Your coherence becomes the template that matter follows with mathematical precision. Now I want to go even deeper into the transformational understanding that spiritual rest isn't what you might think. When you enter true rest after commanding abundance, you're not actually stopping the creative process. You're completing it. This subtle distinction changes everything about how you engage with manifestation. Rest isn't the pause after creation. It's the final note in the symphony of creation itself. Most spiritual seekers misunderstand this principle entirely. They view rest as merely waiting, the passive interlude between declaring their intention and seeing results. But in the realm of spirit, rest functions very differently. It's the echo of absolute certainty, the reverberation of knowing so complete that no further effort or striving is necessary. It's the sound of faith fulfilled before any physical evidence appears. This understanding transforms rest from something you endure while waiting for manifestation to the very catalyst that accelerates manifestation. When you can truly rest in the knowing that what you've declared is already complete in consciousness, you create the perfect vibrational conditions for that completion to emerge into form. Your stillness becomes not the absence of action, but the presence of perfect trust, the energetic state that allows universal forces to work on your behalf without interference. The revelation that changes everything is recognizing that creation isn't finished until rest begins. Just as the seventh day of creation in spiritual teachings wasn't an afterthought, but the completion of the creative cycle, your ability to rest after commanding prosperity isn't passive waiting, but active completion. You're not resting because the work is paused. You're resting because the work is finished in the realm of spirit, and now simply unfolding in the realm of form. This spiritual technology operates with precision in every area of manifestation. When you align mind, heart, and body in coherent focus on abundance, then issue your clear command, and finally enter complete rest in the knowing, you've activated the entire manifestation sequence exactly as it was designed to function. Your inner harmony becomes the blueprint that outer reality follows with perfect fidelity. If this principle is illuminating a pathway within you, write in the comments, "My coherence creates my reality." Let's acknowledge together this profound truth that transforms internal alignment into external manifestation. This revelation brings us to perhaps the most subtle but powerful insight in the entire manifestation process, one that explains why so many sincere practitioners experience disappointing results despite their best efforts. Every single time you check to see if your manifestation is working yet, you're unconsciously broadcasting a very specific message to the universe. That message isn't curiosity or eagerness, it's actually disbelief. Each check whispers to the field of infinite potential, "I don't really believe this is happening," which immediately delays the very reflection you're looking for. This creates a fascinating paradox in the manifestation journey. The more frequently you monitor results, the slower those results tend to appear. The more anxiously you look for evidence, the more that evidence seems to elude you. This isn't punishment or failure. It's simply the precise operation of universal law. The field responds not to your words or even your conscious intentions, but to the subtle broadcast of your deepest beliefs. And belief, once questioned through constant checking, delays its own reflection with mathematical precision. Think about the message your consciousness sends when you declare abundance, and then immediately begin monitoring your bank account for changes. That monitoring actually broadcasts doubt, regardless of what affirmations you might be repeating. It's the energetic equivalent of planting a seed and then digging it up hourly to see if it's growing. The very act of checking becomes the interference that prevents what you're trying to create. Now, I want to go even deeper into this journey of transformation by exploring a fundamental truth that completely reframes your relationship with prosperity. Money itself doesn't have a will of its own. It has no power to determine your worth, dictate your choices, or control your life. It's purely a mirror, a perfect reflection of the consciousness that engages with it. It takes its shape according to the image you impress upon it through your beliefs, expectations, and assumptions. This revelation liberates you from the common misconception that money is some external force that you must somehow please, attract, or convince to come to you. When you recognize that money simply mirrors your consciousness back to you with flawless precision, the entire dynamic shifts. You're no longer the supplicant hoping for money's favor. You're the impression maker whose consciousness determines exactly how money will behave in your experience. Just as a mirror doesn't choose what to reflect, but simply shows whatever stands before it, money doesn't choose whom to flow to or from. It simply expresses the exact pattern of the consciousness that engages with it. When you approach money from lack, it reflects lack. When you approach from abundance, it reflects abundance. When you see it as difficult to obtain, it becomes difficult. When you recognize it as a natural expression of your creative energy, it flows with effortless ease. The journey toward mastery involves taking full responsibility for the image you're impressing upon the mirror of money. Instead of blaming economic conditions, past experiences, or external circumstances for your financial reality, you recognize that your consciousness is the primary determinant of how money behaves in your life. You stop trying to change the reflection without changing the image being reflected. You focus on transforming your inner relationship with abundance, knowing that the outer reflection must change in response. If this perspective is awakening a deeper understanding within you, write in the comments, "I am the image maker, not the image taker." Let's acknowledge together this profound truth about our creative relationship with the mirror of prosperity. This profound insight takes us to what Florence Scovel Shinn brilliantly described as living in the end. This isn't merely visualization or temporary imagination. It's a complete identity shift where you mentally, emotionally, and energetically occupy the reality you desire to create before any physical evidence supports that. Occupation. You don't just picture abundance as a future possibility. You live from it as present reality. Feeling it, breathing it, moving through your day as if it were already physically manifest. In parallel scientific language, Dr. Joe Dispenza calls this same phenomenon becoming the new frequency. His research demonstrates that when you sustain the emotional state of your desired future with such consistency that it becomes your predominant frequency, your brain and body begin operating as if that future were already here. You're not just thinking different thoughts. You're literally broadcasting a new electromagnetic signature that the quantum field must respond to with corresponding physical manifestations. These two perspectives, one ancient wisdom and one cutting-edge science, describe the exact same divine truth from different angles. Your physical reality doesn't create your consciousness. Your consciousness creates your physical reality. When you truly embody the frequency of abundance before any external evidence supports that embodiment, you initiate a transformation that must eventually reorganize your visible circumstances to match your invisible state. The journey of mastery involves this remarkable perceptual revolution, moving from hoping for change to living from change. Instead of affirming, "I will be prosperous," while feeling separate from abundance, you simply live as prosperity itself, feeling, thinking, and moving through the world as someone already intimately connected to infinite supply. This isn't pretending or psychological technique. It's consciously assuming the identity that already exists in potential, allowing it to override your current self-concept. Now I want to go even deeper into this revelation by exploring perhaps the most empowering truth about prosperity. You are the command itself. Money doesn't create you, you create money. When you truly recognize yourself as the source of abundance rather than its recipient, the entire relationship transforms. Money no longer determines your worth, options, or decisions. It simply responds to the consciousness that engages with it, taking whatever shape your awareness impresses upon it. This insight liberates you from the common delusion that money is some external force you must convince to come to you through effort, strategy, or manipulation. When you awaken to your role as the creator of your financial reality, not its victim or beneficiary, something remarkable happens. Money stops being a goal to achieve and becomes a natural extension of your creative energy, responding to your consciousness with the same mathematical precision that a shadow responds to the object casting it. The transformation that changes everything is this identity shift from seeker to source. When you recognize yourself as the command rather than the supplicant, you naturally broadcast the frequency that money cannot resist. This isn't arrogance or illusion, it's simply alignment with the truth that consciousness precedes form in every instance of creation. Your awareness isn't hoping for abundance, it's commanding it through the authority that comes from knowing who you really are in relation to universal supply. If this revelation is awakening something profound within you, write in the comments, "I am the command, not the commanded." Let's acknowledge together this fundamental truth about our creative relationship with prosperity. As we come to the end of this journey, together I want to acknowledge something powerful. If you've stayed with me to this point, it wasn't by accident. The fact that this message found you, and more importantly, that you recognized its truth enough to remain present, is itself evidence of the principle we've been exploring. Consciousness attracts its matching frequency, and clearly, something within you resonated deeply with these revelations about the spiritual nature of abundance. I invite you to join our community of awakened creators who are practicing these principles daily. Subscribe to this channel not just for more content, but to surround yourself with this frequency of remembrance. Each week, we explore these divine laws not as theory, but as living practice, creating a space where your consciousness can regularly realign with the truth of who you are as a creator being. If this message awakened something within you today, if you felt that unmistakable resonance that signals recognition rather than just information, leave a comment below with the words, "I remember who I am." This simple declaration becomes a powerful anchor for the transformation we've explored together. And if you found value in what we've shared, touching that like button isn't just about supporting this message. It's a small but significant act of alignment with the frequency of abundance. It's saying, yes, this truth resonates with me, and I choose to recognize it. I've prepared another journey that builds perfectly upon what we've explored today. You'll see it appearing right here. It reveals the exact daily practice that transforms these principles from concept into embodied reality. Click and join me there as we take these revelations from understanding to experience. Until next time, remember, you are not the seeker of abundance. You are abundance in human form, simply remembering the truth of who you've always been.